The holographic projection materialized without warning in every capital city across Earth. 7 billion people stopped what they were doing as the air itself seemed to fracture, revealing a figure unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The alien stood 12 feet tall, its body composed of what appeared to be living crystalline structures that pulsed with inner light. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its elongated head fixed upon the watching crowds. When it spoke, its voice bypassed all technology, resonating directly in the minds of every human on the planet. People of Earth, I am Jalix, High Arbiter of the Galactic Sovereignty. You have been observed. You have been measured. You have been found dangerously unstable. In the emergency command center beneath Geneva, Director Renna Kovar gripped the edge of her console hard enough to leave marks. Around her, analysts and military officers stood frozen, their faces reflecting the same mixture of terror and disbelief that gripped the entire world. Your species has existed for approximately 200,000 of your years. The alien continued. In that time, you have waged over 15,000 wars. You have created weapons capable of ending all life on your planet. You have repeatedly demonstrated an inability to govern yourselves peacefully. Renna forced herself to breathe. Her training kicked in, analytical mind beginning to process. This was first contact, but not as anyone had hoped. This was an ultimatum. The galactic sovereignty has maintained order among 47,000 civilized species for 3 million years, Jalix stated. We have prevented countless extinction events. We have guided young species away from self-destruction. But you, humanity, represent a unique threat. On the main screen in front of Renna, her second-in-command, Thade Merrick, was already pulling up data. His fingers flew across haptic interfaces as he mouthed calculations to himself. You possess 3 qualities that, when combined, create an unacceptable variable, the alien said. First, you are technologically advanced enough to achieve interstellar travel within 2 of your generations. Second, you maintain competing nation-states that refuse unified governance. Third, and most concerning, you possess what we have identified as an aberrant psychological trait. You call it hope. A murmur rippled through the command center. Hope? That was the problem? Hope causes you to attempt impossible tasks, Jalix explained. Hope makes you resist superior force. Hope leads you to fight when surrender is logical. Hope, combined with your fractured governance and emerging technology, makes you unpredictable. The sovereignty cannot tolerate unpredictability. Renna felt her blood turn cold. Therefore, the sovereignty has issued this decree. You have 72 hours to submit to galactic governance. You will surrender all weapons. You will accept occupation forces. You will adopt our administrative structures. You will be civilized. The pause that followed stretched like a blade against skin. If you refuse, your planet will be sterilized. Every trace of human civilization will be removed. Your world will be marked as quarantine territory for the next 10,000 years. This is not negotiable. This is not a discussion. This is mercy. You have 72 hours. The projection vanished. For 3 seconds, absolute silence reigned in the command center. Then chaos erupted. Get me the Secretary General, Renna snapped. Full emergency protocols. I want representatives from every nation with nuclear capability on secure channels within 10 minutes. Thade moved beside her, his tablet glowing with preliminary analysis. Director, the energy signature from that projection registered across the entire planet simultaneously. Whatever technology they are using, it is orders of magnitude beyond anything we possess. I can see that, Renna said tightly. What I need to know is whether they can follow through on their threat. Director Kovar. The voice came from Dr. Lena Hashimoto, their lead xenosciences advisor, who until 5 minutes ago had been a theoretical astrophysicist studying SETI signals. If they have the technology for instantaneous global telepathic communication, they almost certainly have the capability to sterilize the planet. We should take this threat seriously. Oh, I am taking it very seriously, Renna replied. She pulled up the global command network, watching as secure channels lit up green one by one. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and intelligence chiefs were being pulled into the most important meeting in human history. But we are not surrendering. They'd looked at her sharply. Director, we do not have a choice. They outclass us in every measurable way. If we refuse, they will kill 8 billion people. Then we had better make sure they do not want to kill us, Renna said. She opened the global channel. All stations, this is Geneva Command. I am initiating Protocol Phoenix. Protocol Phoenix. The contingency plan that everyone had laughed at during the drafting sessions. The scenario that assumed FirstContact would be hostile. The protocol that Renna herself had designed during her decade as a game theorist before moving into emergency management. Director, Phoenix is theoretical, they protested. We designed it for hostile contact, yes, but not for contact with a civilization that has 3 million years of experience. We cannot outfight them. We cannot outthink them. What exactly do you believe we can do? Renna turned to face him, and Thade saw something in her eyes that made him step back. It was not fear. It was not desperation. It was the cold, calculating focus of someone who had just recognized a pattern. We do what humans do best, she said quietly. We do something they do not expect. Dr. Hashimoto analyzed that speech again. What did you notice about their assessment of humanity? Lena frowned, pulling up the transcript. They identified 3 qualities: technology, political division, and hope. 2 of those are weaknesses, Renna said. Our technology is primitive compared to theirs. Our political divisions make us vulnerable. But hope. They called hope an aberrant psychological trait. Aberrant. That means unusual. That means we are different. Understanding dawned on Thade's face. They have 47,000 species in their sovereignty. 3 million years of order. And they are worried about us specifically because we do not give up. Exactly, Renna said. Think about what that means. They have encountered species more advanced than us. They have encountered species more unified than us. But they specifically called us unpredictable because we have hope. Because we fight impossible battles. Which means no one else does, Lena breathed. The sovereignty has spent 3 million years civilizing the galaxy. They have made it safe, predictable, ordered. And in all that time, they have never encountered a species quite like us. We are not going to threaten them, Renna said. We cannot. But we can make them curious. We can make them uncertain. We can make them wonder what happens if they destroy something unique. The global channel crackled to life. Faces appeared on screens around the command center. Chinese, American, Russian, Indian, European, African, South American. Every major power and dozens of smaller nations, all connected for the first time in history without posturing or politics. The Secretary General, Ambassador Kwame Osei, spoke first. Director Kovar, we have all seen the transmission. I assume you have a plan? I have the beginning of one, Renna replied. We have 72 hours. That is not enough time to build weapons. It is not enough time to unify our governments. It is not enough time to evolve as a species. But it might be enough time to show them something they have never seen before. What are you proposing? Asked President Natalia Volkov of the Russian Federation. A demonstration, Renna said. Not of force. Not of submission. A demonstration of why humanity deserves to exist. We show them every contradiction, every paradox, every impossible thing we have ever achieved. We show them the species that walked on the moon before we had computers in our pockets. The species that wrote symphonies and poetry while simultaneously inventing weapons of mass destruction. The species that fights like hell to survive even when survival seems impossible. They will not care, said Prime Minister David Okonkwo of the African Union. They have 3 million years of civilization. What could we possibly show them that would matter? We show them hope, Renna said simply. We show them what happens when a species refuses to accept that some problems are unsolvable. We have 72 hours to create the most comprehensive, beautiful, terrible, inspiring documentation of humanity that has ever existed. And then we broadcast it directly to them. That is insane, muttered General Zhang Wei of China. You want to fight them with a documentary? I want to fight them with truth, Renna corrected. They think they know us. They think we are just another aggressive species that needs to be controlled or eliminated. We show them they are wrong. We show them every contradiction, every moment of beauty and horror, every war and every peace treaty, every genocide and every act of selfless heroism. We show them the complete, uncensored, unfiltered reality of what humanity is. Silence filled the channel as the implications sank in. And if it does not work? Asked President Saren Kale of the United States. If they watch our history and decide we are even more dangerous than they thought? Then we fight, Renna said flatly. Because if they are going to sterilize us anyway, we might as well make them remember us. But I do not think it will come to that. Because here is what I realized. They gave us 72 hours. What does that signify? Ambassador Osei asked. If they truly believed we were an existential threat, they would have sterilized us immediately, Renna explained. No warning. No ultimatum. Just efficient removal of the problem. But they gave us time. Which means either they are following some bureaucratic protocol, or somewhere in their 3-million-year-old civilization, there is doubt. Doubt? Thade echoed. Doubt about whether destroying us is the right choice, Renna said. They are curious. They are uncertain. They have never seen a species like us before, and that makes them hesitate. So we are going to exploit that hesitation. We are going to give them so much information, so much raw humanity, that they cannot help but wonder what happens if they erase us. We are going to make them imagine a galaxy where humanity never existed, and we are going to make them question whether that galaxy is better or worse. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Ambassador Osei straightened in his chair. Director Kovar, you have operational authority. What do you need? The next 72 hours became the most intensive period of cooperation in human history. Every archive was opened. Every museum contributed. Every cultural organization, every university, every government repository, every private collection, all of it was digitized, categorized, and assembled into a comprehensive documentation of human existence. Artists worked with historians. Scientists collaborated with philosophers. Military strategists shared notes with peace activists. The entire species focused on a single question: who are we? Renna slept 3 hours in the first 48. She coordinated with teams across the planet, watching as the documentation took shape. It was not propaganda. It was not a recruitment video. It was the complete truth of humanity in all its complexity. There were the horrors: slavery, Holocaust, Hiroshima, Rwanda, colonialism, environmental destruction. Every dark moment was documented without excuse or justification. But there were also the moments of transcendence. The first human to look at another species and call it beautiful instead of threatening. The first person to risk their life to save a stranger. The invention of music. The development of democracy. The long, bloody, stumbling journey from tribal warfare to the United Nations. They will see us as savages, Dr. Hashimoto said on hour 60, watching footage of World War II being incorporated into the documentation. They already see us as savages, Renna replied. What we need them to see is that we are savages who keep trying to be better. We fail constantly. We backslide. We make the same mistakes over and over. But we also keep reaching for something higher. That is the point. That is what makes us different. Thade approached with a data pad. Director, we have a problem. The documentation is now over 400,000 hours of material. Even if the sovereignty watches it all at accelerated speed, there is no way they can review it before the deadline. Then they will have to extend the deadline, Renna said calmly. Or they will have to make a decision without all the data. Either way, we win. How is that winning? Because we make them choose, Renna explained. If they extend the deadline, they are admitting we have given them something worth considering. If they do not extend it, they are admitting they are willing to destroy us without fully understanding what we are. Either choice reveals something about them. At hour 70, the documentation was complete. 473,000 hours of video, audio, text, and imagery. Every language. Every culture. Every perspective. The unedited story of humanity from the first cave paintings to the transmission from Jalix. Renna stood before the Global Council one final time. "This is what we are sending them," she said. "No edits. No propaganda. Just truth. The beautiful and the terrible. The hopeful and the despairing. Everything." "And how do we transmit it?" President Volkov asked. "The same way they transmit it to us," Renna replied. "We broadcast on every frequency simultaneously. We aim it at the location their projection originated from. And we include one message." She pulled up the text. "To the galactic sovereignty. You asked for our surrender. Instead, we offer our story. This is humanity. We are violent and peaceful. Brilliant and foolish. Cruel and compassionate. We have spent 200,000 years trying to figure out what we are and how to be better. We have failed more often than we have succeeded. But we have never stopped trying. We are difficult. We are messy. We are unpredictable. But we are also capable of growth, change, and transcendence. You say hope makes us aberrant. We say hope makes us human. Judge us not by our worst moments or our best, but by the entire journey. Then decide whether the galaxy is better with us or without us. We await your decision." At hours 71 and 59 minutes, Earth transmitted. The broadcast lasted 6 minutes. That was all it took to compress and transmit the full documentation, along with the simple message. Then humanity waited. The deadline passed. For 17 minutes, nothing happened. Renna stood in the command center, every muscle tense, waiting for the sterilization to begin. Around her, analysts stared at screens showing orbital mechanics, looking for the first sign of incoming weapon systems. Then Jalix appeared again. The holographic projection materialized in the same locations as before, but something was different. The alien's crystalline structure pulsed with a rhythm that had not been there before, something almost like agitation. "People of Earth," it said, "we have reviewed your transmission." Renna held her breath. "In 3 million years, the sovereignty has encountered 47,000 species. We have cataloged 32 million instances of FirstContact scenarios. We have processed quintillions of data points about social evolution, technological development, and psychological patterns." The alien paused, and for the first time, seemed uncertain. "Not once has a species responded to an ultimatum by attempting to educate us. Not once has a species argued for its own existence by documenting its failures as thoroughly as its successes. Not once has a species claimed that its weakness, hope, is actually its defining strength." Another pause. "You were correct in your assessment. We gave you 72 hours because we were uncertain. In 3 million years of maintaining galactic order, we have never encountered a species quite like yours. Other species resist through force or submission through calculation. You resist through demonstration. You fight by showing vulnerability. You defend yourselves by admitting your flaws." The crystalline being seemed to shift its posture. "The sovereignty has made a decision. You are granted provisional autonomy. You will be monitored. You will be constrained from certain technological developments until you achieve greater social cohesion. But you will not be sterilized. You will not be occupied. You will be allowed to continue your development." A wave of relief swept through the command center, but Jalix was not finished. "However, understand this. The decision was not unanimous. Many within the sovereignty argued that your unpredictability is too dangerous. Many believe that allowing you to exist threatens the order we have maintained for 3 million years. You have been granted existence by the narrowest of margins." The alien leaned forward, and its 4 eyes seemed to focus with terrible intensity. "We are giving you a chance because you showed us something we had forgotten. In 3 million years of peace and order, we have eliminated unpredictability. We have created a galaxy where every species follows established patterns, where every problem has a known solution, where nothing truly new ever happens. You reminded us that growth requires risk, that evolution requires uncertainty, that hope, while dangerous, is also what drives progress. Jalix straightened. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if you prove that hope leads only to destruction, we will rectify this decision. But if you prove that hope can coexist with wisdom, that unpredictability can lead to innovation rather than chaos, then perhaps you will teach us something we have not learned in 3 million years. The projection began to fade. Do not make us regret this, humans. The galaxy is watching. The alien vanished. For a moment, the command center was utterly silent. Then someone started clapping. Another joined. Within seconds, the entire room erupted in celebration. Renna did not join them. She stood still, staring at the empty space where Jalix had been, her mind already racing ahead to the implications. Thade approached, grinning. Director, we did it. We actually did it. We talked our way out of extinction. No, Renna said quietly. We bought time. They are watching us now. Everything we do, every choice we make, will be scrutinized. We have to prove that hope is not just stubbornness. We have to show them that our unpredictability leads somewhere worth going. Can we do that? Thade asked. Renna looked around the command center at the faces of people from every nation, every culture, every belief system, all working together for the first time in human history. Then she smiled. Ask me in another 72 hours, she said. Right now I have hope. Across the planet, humanity began to process what had just happened. Strangers embraced in the streets. Ancient enemies spoke to each other with new respect. The species that had spent 200,000 years fighting over territory and resources suddenly understood that they were all on the same side. The world did not become perfect overnight. Old grudges did not disappear. Political divisions remained. But something fundamental had shifted. Humanity had looked into the abyss and chosen to show its soul rather than its weapons. And somehow, impossibly, it had worked. In the weeks that followed, Renna received a private transmission. It was from an unknown source, but the encryption suggested galactic sovereignty origin. When she decoded it, she found a message from someone who identified themselves only as an observer. The message read, Director Kovar. You should know that your gambit succeeded for reasons beyond what you realize. When the sovereignty reviewed your documentation, they saw something that troubled them deeply. They saw a species that had experienced unimaginable suffering, war, genocide, disease, natural disaster, and still chose to help each other. They saw people who had every reason to become cynical and cruel, but who instead created art, music, and philosophy. They saw a species that failed constantly but never stopped trying. In 3 million years, the sovereignty has created a galaxy where suffering has been minimized through control and order. But in eliminating suffering, they also eliminated the choice to be good despite suffering. You showed them what moral courage looks like when it is tested. They realized that by destroying you, they would be eliminating the last species that still has to earn its compassion rather than having it mandated. You reminded them what virtue means. Do not waste this gift. Renna read the message 3 times, then deleted it. Some knowledge was too dangerous to share. But she kept the final line in her mind, do not waste this gift. Humanity had 72 hours to prove it deserved to exist. Now it had a lifetime. The question was what they would do with it. 6 months later, Renna stood in the new Global Coordination Center, watching as the first unified Earth delegation prepared to meet with galactic sovereignty representatives for formal diplomatic relations. It had taken half a year of brutal negotiation, compromise, and bridge building, but humanity had done what Jalix said they could not. They had begun to unify without surrendering their diversity. Nervous? Thade asked, approaching with 2 cups of coffee. Terrified, Renna admitted. We are about to step onto a galactic stage where we are the youngest, weakest, least experienced species. Every decision we make will be scrutinized. Every mistake will be magnified. So, just like always, they'd said with a slight smile. Renna laughed despite herself. Yes. Just like always. But at least now we have an audience that is watching to see if we succeed rather than waiting for us to fail. Some of them, anyway, they'd said. The observer's message made it clear that we still have enemies in the sovereignty. We will always have enemies, Renna replied. The question is whether we also make allies. Whether we show them that unpredictability does not mean chaos. That hope does not mean naivety. That a young species can contribute something valuable to a 3 million-year-old civilization. Can we? They'd asked. Renna watched the delegation board the shuttle that would take them to their first official meeting with galactic representatives. She saw faces from every continent, every major religion, every political philosophy. She saw them laughing together, arguing, compromising, working towards something larger than themselves. Yes, she said finally. Because we have something they have forgotten. We know what it is like to have everything to lose. We know what it means to fight for survival. We remember that progress is not inevitable. That peace is not automatic. That every generation has to choose to be better than the last. The sovereignty has had 3 million years of guaranteed order. We have had 200,000 years of bloody, chaotic, beautiful struggle. And that struggle taught us something they have forgotten. What is that? Renna turned to face him, and her eyes held the same cold calculation that had started this whole journey 6 months ago. That the things worth having are the things worth fighting for. That security without choice is not freedom. That a perfect, predictable galaxy might be safe, but it is also stagnant. We are going to show them what happens when you add a little chaos to order. A little hope to certainty. A little humanity to perfection. She smiled. We are going to teach them how to dream again. The shuttle launched, carrying humanity's representatives toward their future. Behind them, 8 billion people watched and waited, united by the knowledge that they had been given a second chance. The galaxy had issued an ultimatum. Humanity had responded with truth. And against all odds, against all logic, against all 3 million years of precedent, it had worked. The question now was not whether humanity deserved to exist. The question was what they would become. And for the first time in 200,000 years, humanity faced that question together. If this story made you feel something, support the channel by liking the video and subscribing for more sci-fi tales.